If you've been the victim of a criminal injury, then you should seek compensation for your injuries. At Stephensons, we can help you to recover the damages you rightfully deserve. The Criminal Injuries Compensation Scheme, or the CICA scheme as it is more commonly known, is a government-funded scheme to compensate blameless victims of violent crime. The scheme covers a wide range of injuries, including both physical and psychological injury. The scheme also compensates children or individuals who have been victim to a criminal act as a child. This also includes victims of sexual assault and abuse. Although the Criminal Injuries Scheme has undergone a number of changes over the years, substantial sums can be awarded in respect of the injuries suffered. Expertise within this area and an understanding of the CICA scheme and procedure is needed to ensure that the claim is processed promptly and efficiently, and that challenges are made to the Criminal Injuries Compensation Authority where and when appropriate. Victims are often told to represent themselves, and representation from a solicitor is not required, but many claims are refused by the CICA each year due to a lack of understanding of the scheme. A number of applicants also accept an award that is actually too low. This is usually due to a lack of legal representation. At Stephensons, we have constantly achieved excellent results for our clients and remain dedicated to maximising the potential compensation available. We understand that every criminal injury compensation claim is unique, and we are dedicated to understanding the individual needs of clients who have been victim to a criminal act. In order to make a CICA claim, you must fall into one of four general categories. You are the victim of a violent crime, you sustained an injury whilst taking reasonable and justified steps to prevent a crime, you were psychologically injured by witnessing a loved one falling victim to a violent crime or by the aftermath of such an event, and finally you are the relative of someone who unfortunately has died as a result of a violent crime. The scheme requires that all incidents for which a claim is made be reported to the police. If the crime for which you are seeking compensation has not been reported to the police, the CICA will unfortunately not make an award. The incident should be reported to the police as soon as is reasonably practical. This normally means immediately after the incident. It is however important to know that conviction is not always required in order to pursue a CICA claim. Claims to the CICA are subject to strict time limits. Claims must be made within 2 years of the date of the incident, or if you were a child at the time of the incident, by your 20th birthday. The CICA do however have discretion to allow applications to be made outside of this time limit, so it is worthwhile contacting us even if the 2-year limit has lapsed. The CICA are likely to refuse or reduce a payment if you have a criminal record, even if you were blameless in the incident which resulted in your injury. All unspent criminal convictions at the date of the application and before a final decision is made are taken into account. In general, the more serious the sentence received and the more recently it was given, the longer the conviction will take to be spent. If you do have a previous criminal conviction, it is important to advise us of this prior to an application being made, so we can advise you accordingly on the chances of your application being successful. If we do not agree with the CICA's original decision, whether this is the amount awarded to you or a complete rejection of your application, we can and often will apply for this decision to be reviewed. This means that it is initially reconsidered by another decision maker within the CICA and then, if necessary, appealed to a first tier tribunal. The first tier tribunal is an independent panel, and they take into account the arguments of the applicant and the CICA before making a decision. This is a process which we are particularly familiar with at Stephensons, as we regularly take matters to tribunal hearings. The CICA can provide various levels of compensation depending on the circumstances and injuries sustained. The amount of compensation awarded depends on the particular circumstances of the criminal act and the nature of the injuries. The CICA uses a set tariff which has been put in place and is applied strictly. The minimum amount awarded by the CICA is £1,000, with the maximum amount being awarded up to £500,000. This is of course for extremely serious and often life-changing injuries. If the applicant is under the age of 18 when they accept a payment, we will normally arrange for the payment to be retained in an interest-earning deposit account until their 18th birthday. It is possible, however, for this money to be released prior to the applicant's 18th birthday in certain circumstances, and for part of the award to sometimes be released. This is something we can attempt to negotiate with the CICA on their behalf. It is also important to consider in these types of cases a claim against any other person or public body which may have owed you a duty of care which has been breached and the criminal act followed as a direct result. They may have exposed you to an unnecessary and foreseeable risk of injury. This could include your employer, the police, your school, the social services or any religious or charitable organisation.